A little bit of the bubbly.
So I've been here at 8.5 for my son. I told you when I first got here, I keep looking each and every day, further and further up that ladder, and things getting better and better. For the old nasty dog.
Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey here. Thank you very much. I had to. We're doing a wrestling biopic thing, man. You got to include something with Andy Kaufman. You know, he got his biopic too.
He did
might not be accurate according to Jerry the King Lawler, but he got one.
All right. Yeah, he did. So we are the Mark Out Movie Podcast. And on today's episode, Brandon, what are we doing?
What are we doing? We are doing the top 15 biopics that need to be made after the Iron Claw, in our opinion.
Yeah. Now, we'll let you know, I just made an omission. I took off Ricky Dozen. That was on my list. And I'll tell you where I took him off. For those that don't know, Ricky Dozen was a wrestler back in, he wrestled around like the 50s or so, mainly in Japan. He was like really big with like bringing Japanese wrestling to Japan, like kind of making it a thing. And he lived the gimmick essentially, and unfortunately ended up getting killed. I think he got stabbed. To death. He is. Now another reason why I took him off the list is because technically he already has a biopic. It's a movie that was made years ago called Ricky Dozen, but not a lot of eyes saw it, so I took it off because there's no need to really bring him on there, especially if I got who I just picked up in the draft, thanks to Brandon. So
yeah, because I didn't put him on mine.
But
he deserves one, though. I will say that he deserves one. He did a lot for the business. He has an incredible story, so he deserves one. But before we get into it, let's
do Rumble first, and then we'll get, because that's a good segue into the list.
It is. Okay.
All right. Royal Rumble. So I got to watch it night of. I was texting Brandon back and forth about it. I would say ultimately, not a bad night. I absolutely enjoyed. I think the women's Royal Rumble was. They have consistently been pretty good the last few years.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was more invested in Bayley Mania than I was the men's Royal Rumble in its entirety. I got emotional for Bayley. I'm not traditionally a big Bayley fan, but I like her story and where it's going. And I got emotional, and Dawson just kept looking at me like, why you care so much?
And Bayley pulled her Shawn Michaels, started number one in England and won. So that's pretty. That's a rarity, right? That somebody starts at 1 and wins.
Well, they're starting to do it more, though. I think
Rhea. Who else? Rhea Ripley did it.
She was either 1 or 3 last year. I can't remember, but I want to say it was 1. Cody did it last year at number 30, and this year, what was he, like 15?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we could start with the opening match was the Royal Rumble, wasn't it?
The female, the lady, the women Royal Rumble. I want to say the biggest surprise for me, and I was like, I don't know this person, but the Jordan Grace is her name.
You talk the TNA.
The TNA. Yeah.
Yeah,
Something-
something like that. I haven't watched their product in forever, but it looks like it's getting back to where it used to be when it was good with
I
some of the
love.
additions they got. But it gave me kind of hope that Dolph would show up if we got
Mm.
her, but it's too soon. Really, I mean,
Oh, imagine the pop though. Imagine the pop
yeah,
if
yeah, he would have got a great
in the
pop.
world. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think that it would have been awesome if that happened. I do want to say I'm thankful to see that they are starting to really, um, like utilize each other's talent pool.
Yeah,
Hopefully, this is going to lead to some really great wrestling, so maybe some invasion storylines or some crossover storylines and stuff. I know they did it with AEW, but this would be kind of a cool thing to do. WWE done it before with ECW in the past, with the CWA, was it? Was it CWC? Whichever the wrestling, the Mexican wrestling.
I'm not. Oh, I don't remember. But didn't they do it with
Oh,
like USWA as well?
yeah, and they did it with the Japan. Uh, I forget what it
Yes.
was at the time.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that in the mid '90s.
Mid 90s,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, because they had the women's champion there, and they had, I think, one of their world champions come on Raw or special pay per views like Survivor Series or something.
Mm-hmm. I remember wasn't her name something like Kong or something? Asa
Uh,
Kong or something like that.
Something
It's
like
like
that.
yeah.
Because she
But
feuded
yeah,
with Alundra Blaze.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. She grabbed the bed. But but yeah. No, ultimately I really enjoyed it. There's another lady that wrestled in the women's Royal Rumble. I don't know her. I think she is a talent on maybe NXT. I don't know. Just towards the end of the show, but she came in like is very athletic, doing flips and backflips and everything. I was like, man, uh, she's really good. I forget her name though. I'm sorry. I don't know these people. I don't know these new people. I don't. Um,
yeah, I don't really know anybody in NXT except for Carmelo, Trick Williams, their champion, which I don't know his name, but he's a guy that could defeat Gunther if they choose to go in that direction. If Gunther's still the IC champion, when they go to Berlin, they have a history together. And I know, of course, my favorite guy from NXT, who's I think officially on the main roster, or he should be, is Braun Breaker,
hmm
Rick Steiner's son. So
yeah,
me and you talked
uh,
about this. They
yeah,
should just
great.
go with Steiner.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. They should just change his name because it's such a terrible name. Braun Breaker is just it sounds like something that somebody that we're going to talk about here soon came up with. It sounds like let's call him Braun Breaker. Yeah, that sounds great. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think maybe the reason he doesn't go by Steiner is because they don't want in their eyes, I guess, would be the stench of a Scott Steiner,
But
his
Rick is
history.
different. Rick is different though, man. Rick has
Well,
Rick. Has,
actually, Rick is in more trouble now than Scott is.
oh, really?
He made some racial comments,
Oh,
and he kind of got
well,
blacklisted from WWE.
well, it just that's fine. Just give him a different name. Don't call him Steiner. Don't call him Breaker though. Braun Breaker sounds generic. Sounds like a created generic wrestler name, and I hate it. Um, what about yeah, in the men's battle? With the women's Royal Rumble, winner as you said was Bailey.
Yeah,
And I did like that Cargan, whatever her name is,
Jade.
Jade. Yeah,
Yeah,
thought she looked really good. They made her look strong.
they did.
Uh, and big ups on um I don't even know her name. She's huge. What's her name? She's not
Which one?
she's like literally a big lady. I don't know what's her name.
You talked to Rock's niece or
Yeah,
cousin?
that
Nia
one.
Jax.
Nia Jax. There you go.
Yeah,
Not
you know
saying,
what? I would have been
but
okay if she would have like won the Royal Rumble.
Nia.
Yeah, I would have actually been okay with that. I mean, I know it's not her story. I know they're going Becky and Rhea Ripley with that, but I feel like she's growing on me. I don't know if I don't think it's her wrestling ability that's growing on me, but it's her character work that's growing on me.
Yeah.
Like I have completely flipped the script on Becky Lynch. I don't really care for her anymore.
Oh, really? I like Hill Becky. I like Hill Becky. She she's not she's not by far the best lady heel, female heel, in on the
no,
roster.
no,
I would say that Rhea is still that heel.
yeah, but I don't even think she's the best four horsewoman. You know, I would even say she's top two. I think she's the
No,
worst.
yeah,
Honestly,
no. I think that Rhea was no Becky
no,
Lynch is the
it was Becky, Sasha, Charlotte, and Bailey. You know,
hmm,
Bailey always gets the short end of the stick, but she is actually one of the better wrestlers they got.
mm-hmm.
And I kind of have always compared her to Christian. Doesn't really get appreciated, but she works hard. So
Mm-hmm.
it's why I'm glad that she's getting this opportunity. I mean, to win the
Yeah.
Rumble, to be in a high profile WrestleMania match, I think
They,
I'm happy for her.
you gotta get the strap.
She should. I mean, if not, what are we doing here? Are we going?
Yeah.
Are we going to repeat what Cody went through? But it's
Um,
not that big of a. I mean, it's not that type of a story, but I like her story. What was there any surprises during the
uh,
Women's Royal Rumble that you didn't
uh,
see coming?
yeah. Our truth coming out is a surprise. It was funny. I loved it. It was funny. I love that he came just the idea of him coming out and running and looking and saying like, wait a minute, why is a woman out here? And he getting in the ring and looking around like, oh, these are the women. What's happening? You know, I love that. I thought that was pretty funny. Uh,
I have to admit, it was funny. It was so funny. I thought he was going to miss the Men's Royal Rumble.
yeah.
He was going to get so sidetracked about it and not even come out when he was supposed to. But I told
Yeah,
Dawson, if he comes
he
out,
came out the same number. He came out the same number too. You know that, right?
yeah, I was like, okay. I told Dawson, if he's going to be in it, he's going to be number 24 in the men's because that's the number he got in the women's. So,
That's good storytelling. I like that. So that was a good surprise. But other than that, the biggest surprise was the unknown of Jordan Grace or whatever her name is, and her being so dominant. Uh,
yeah.
like I liked her. And I want to see more of her. Uh, do things. So that's the only
Yeah.
surprise. I was surprised with Bailey winning. I was happy that Bailey won. Because it's you can't give it to Jade on the silver platter. You can't give it to the other people. You just gotta. Bailey paid her dues. Yeah,
Yeah.
let her take a run. I agree with you. Um,
Yeah. Then we had Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, which
yeah.
honestly, I felt it was a little disappointing. I
Hmm.
guess because of the ending.
It's very forgettable, actually.
But I
Uh,
think, obviously they're going to wrestle again, probably at the Chamber. I think it'll be a much better match, but I think Logan Paul's going to win, and I'd be very surprised if he loses the title before WrestleMania. But yeah, I agree. It was kind of a forgettable match. But I have
yeah,
to say the championship match was pretty forgettable too. Like
yeah,
it was so fast, it was over. Like I
yeah.
literally I
You
asked
think
you, did it go longer than 10 minutes? Because I didn't think it did.
no? I don't think so. It was. Uh, let's see. Roman Reigns won. I don't know. It didn't. It didn't tell me. But
It was
yeah, I
your
thought it was.
it was just
Huh?
your traditional. It was just your traditional Roman Reigns title defense, which I
Yeah.
was disappointed in because you got four people out there, four deserving people to put on a great show, and they do what they always do. It's just
Yeah.
disappointing.
Yeah. I know that Roman is going to try to, like you mentioned, how he's going to pass Hogan up. in his reign and everything, which that's cool. But the difference is, maybe it's just me, but I felt like every pay per view growing up, Hogan was in it, and he was defending his title. It felt like it was like for
Really?
the
I mean,
better
most of
part,
them.
the better part of the '80s, until Warrior came along and he became champion after he lost the IC title. Uh, and then later on, it's in the '90s when you get into more of the Brett and then Shine, and then like it went on from there. But
Yeah, I mean, he did most of the pay per views, but he didn't always defend the title. Like, I mean, he participated in the Royal Rumble matches. He participated in the Survivor Series and elimination matches, but he participated. He was there, you
he
know?
was, yeah,
So that's the difference between him and Roman's title reign, in my opinion, is Roman's not there hardly. And maybe he's going. I expect him to be there more because we're in the road to WrestleMania. But rest of the year, he literally missed like 3 months in a row. I mean,
and another thing that bothers me with Roman is I feel like he doesn't. Uh, I feel like the bloodline like is essentially over. Um, but Roman needed the bloodline to kind of make him look cooler. Heyman helps, but I think that he needs the bloodline to kind of keep that keep that going. Let me see. Iron Claw. We're gonna yeah. Hey, Bill. Yeah, I love the Iron Claw. I thought it was an excellent movie.
excellent.
I mean, and it's been snubbed by the awards, which is terrible. But I thought it was excellent.
I mean, I can understand why it's snubbed right now, but yeah, it shouldn't have been snubbed. But we're down to
Well,
the men's.
it came out fairly late in the year.
Yeah,
Uh, to really
December.
any traction for award ceremony. Where you had Oppenheimer was the big blockbuster of the summer, I would say, and then with Barbie, I guess, and then the Barbieheimer, and then uh, what is the Killers of the Flower Moon came out a little later, was it? But
November, I think. I'm not
yeah,
100% sure, but I want to say November.
yeah, Zach was snubbed. I thought Zach definitely disappeared into the role of Kevin Von Erich. Like literally, I didn't see Zac Efron. I seen just Kevin Von Erich, and I thought that the guy that played Fritz was excellent. I think he was ultimately snubbed as well. I thought he did a great job for best supporting actor.
Yeah. Speaking of, we're talking about the Rumble, and I would have loved if Zach would have showed up in Pat McAfee's spot.
Mm.
That'd been better.
Yeah, but I think that people tend to stay away from it because I think it's what blew Mickey Rourke's Oscar stuff is when he showed up at the WrestleMania Royal Rumble stuff. I think it
Yeah.
kind of hurt him, so I don't think that people want to do that again. But I would say this. Like, I think Mickey also put in the work as well. I don't think he used body doubles, but I appreciate Zac Efron taking bumps, learning the ropes, learning how to bump and do do the work off the ropes and everything. Uh, man, I appreciate the guys going in there, and the guy from the Bear, who I seen him first in Iron Claw, and then I later went and watched the Bear. He's an excellent actor. To play Carrie.
Mhm.
And I'm a huge Kerry Von Erich fan. So that's the Von Erich that I knew, and so because of the WWF at the time. But yeah,
Yeah, I actually saw a clip of him on Facebook wrestling Ric Flair in WWF as the Texas Tornado, which I never knew they wrestled in
me neither.
WWF. Yeah, and it was quite
It's around
entertaining.
that same time, I guess so. Yeah,
So it's amazed that I'm amazed that he could do what he did with no
with one
foot.
foot. Yeah,
Yeah, literally,
and
if
you
I
know
didn't,
what? And going back looking at that, I never knew you could have. I never in a million years thought that he had like a whole foot amputated. I never in a million years would have thought that.
Yeah.
He never showed, man. He never showed. Uh, oh wow, that's powerful stuff, man.
And I could just imagine Vince found out about it, and that's the reason he fired him. They didn't say that, but I imagine that's what happened.
Yeah,
But
this is okay. We're gonna get into him a little bit, but Royal Rumble, men's Royal Rumble. The thing that there's no surprises for me. There's nothing. I knew everybody was gonna be in it. There was nothing that kind of shocked me and wowed me. What I loved the most about it is wrestler that I loved and I thought they did a great job was Braun Breaker, um, and and the one that I thought was like really. Oh, and okay, I don't like the Usos. I don't want. I think that the Yeet thing is so dumb, and the no Yeet thing is so dumb. I just don't like that. It's distracting. But I like I did like when our Truth came out and he thought he tried going for a tag. I love that. I love that. I thought that was funny.
it's typical R-Truth behavior.
Yeah.
Better wrestling movie, Iron Claw 2023 or The Peanut Butter Falcon 2019?
Falcon.
That's hard.
Yeah, both of them was excellent. But it's two different movies. Feel Good is Peanut Butter Falcon. It felt great after watching that movie. After watching Iron Claw, you feel pretty terrible.
Yes, I have to admit, it takes you on a ride, and although you know what's coming, you're not ready for it. With Peanut Butter Falcon, you leave happy. At least I did when I watched it. I didn't know it was a wrestling movie though. I had no idea the kid.
Blind. You went completely blind with it. And Shia was so great in it.
Yeah, I went blind because I went for Shia. I didn't know what it was about. I had just heard it was really good, so I was like, I want to give this a try, and I did a few months ago. So, and it just added to it that it was about wrestling, about this kid's dream to be a wrestler. So, I added to the story. I mean, it added to the experience, and but the Iron Claw, man, I have to go Iron Claw because of the material it was, how deep it was.
You know what? And they could have. And another thing about the Iron Cloud I loved. I don't know if you felt this, but I could have just loved to hang out at the Sportatorium.
Yeah,
like it felt like I was like so wanting to see like, ooh, I hope they have like a cameo of a kid and the mom says, Steve, come on, and it'd be like Steve Austin, something like that. Because I know that those guys and they tell their stories. Like even Taker tells stories of I used to go and watch wrestling at the Sportatorium, see the Funks and see the Von Erichs and the Freebirds and stuff like it. I would have loved for it to be just a biopic of just the Sportatorium and the people that come in that venue. And it would have been. I think it'd been really cool because I loved it when they got there. I was like hooked. I was like, I loved the feel of it. To see the crowd, see people entering the venue. I was like, I want to see more of that.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I would love to see a movie like that, and it's kind of on my list. A movie like that.
Me too.
But the men's Royal Rumble, real quick. I agree with you about Braun Breaker. He's really the only time I really marked out.
Mm-hmm.
I was so impressed with him. I'm like, man, why is this guy not on the main roster? He's more than ready. I guess the guy I was most disappointed in, maybe it's not right to say it now, but it was CM Punk. I thought he looked tired. He looked old.
Yeah.
He looked really beat up. And I kind of thought maybe it's kind of the storyline they're going with, because he is 45 now, and he's, and maybe he's putting over people that he maybe insulted 10 years ago. At the same time, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know he was working injured, so maybe that had a lot to do with it. Maybe it didn't. I I honestly didn't get to see him wrestle much in AEW. I hear the fans though they diss him, saying he botched everything. But
Yeah, I
and
think
I
that.
told you, and I was just gonna say, and I told you this. I'm gonna stand on it. He got hurt first real match back. I feel he should retire because over the
Uh,
last 2 years he's
I
injury
would.
prone.
I would love to see Dusty other than Dustin, honestly, and then you can incorporate the other ones in there. But Dusty would be a more of a powerful biopic, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah,
but um, but yeah, I do like Goldust. Don't get me wrong. I thought that he took he said, how can I reinvent myself as a Rhodes or Reynolds is their real name, and how can I reinvent myself and make it a different character that came out of left field, and Goldust was that character. That he was like a very great mixture of exotic Adrian Street, uh, and and some other type of androgynous type of
yeah.
wrestler. But it worked. I was like I like Goldust. I never chose him as a wrestler on video games because
Really,
Goldust.
never.
Never. And I never say, "Oh, I'm going to wrestle with Goldust." I love his entrance though. His entrance music was
I love Goldust.
it still slaps. But yeah,
I would always put him in my wrestling shows in universe mode when they came out with that. But he's not on my list either. But before we get to the list, and there was someone that was on my list, and I'm not gonna lie, he was number one on my list.
and you took it
But
off.
I took him off because he's being canceled.
Yeah.
But I still say he deserves a biopic, and he probably will get one. It just won't be for the accomplishments he made. But Vince McMahon, we're going to talk about him a little bit.
Go for it.
I haven't really dived in to what the accusations are. I've heard a little bit, but
Brock Lesnar as well, right?
yeah, Brock was involved. He sent
John
Brock,
Laurinaitis.
John Laurinaitis. Basically, he had, from what I understand, I guess he paid this woman to send videos and um, uh, her peeing, her pooping, her doing whatever to
I
herself.
didn't know. I didn't know all that, buddy.
Yeah, Brock got one that was her peeing, apparently. China, yeah, she deserves one. I didn't put any
Yeah.
women on this, though, and I should have.
There would be a very end very tragically, but I love to see it anyway. Because China, you know who I would cast to play China? The lady that played Brienne of Tar from Game of Thrones. I think she'd be perfect. It's China.
I haven't seen it. But
Yes,
as far
very
as
powerful Amazonian type of.
but as far as Vince goes, I'm not shocked by any of it, and I know it's terrible to say.
Mhm.
But I truly believe the character we've seen for 20 to 30 years is who he really is. I
Mhm.
don't think that's him amped up. I think that's who he is. And all the gross storylines he wanted to do with Stephanie, with all the women, it was just him acting out his fantasies, basically, on a lower surface.
He started living the gimmick of Mr. McMahon, and it come to find out that it's behavior that's been going on since like the '80s as well. With like one of the first lady referees, he tried to assault allegedly, and you know, but yeah, and there was like stories of him assaulting a male uh masseuse person. I don't know, or something.
I believe the stories now because
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
for years there was stuff about Pat Patterson and stories that he covered it up, and I believe it. If you're a Pat Patterson fan, I apologize, but Roddy Piper was very weirded out by Pat Patterson.
Yeah.
Anytime his name was mentioned, he got really weirded out. So I think something happened there, and but I don't know. I hate it for the woman, but also she took the money to do it. So
Well, I can't blame her for that, even that, because honestly, um, you they throw an NDA in your face and say, "Sign this. Here, we're gonna pay
Yeah.
you," and it's something that still lives, and it lives with that person that she was essentially utilized for really that's not what the job was supposed to be. She probably had,
Yeah.
and then that so it's terrible. I think that, but Vince, he's always had that type of like he helped cover up a murder with Jimmy Snooker, so he literally he's the worst. But
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And he probably would have covered up Benoit, if Benoit would have reached out to him.
mm,
I mean, if all that happened as everyone says it happened, Des, he probably would have helped him.
yeah,
Uh, just being
I,
honest, if he's going to help Jimmy Snuka, who was one of his biggest stars at the time, he's definitely going to help Chris Benoit,
now
who's
that's a
like,
good step into the list. Uh,
yeah,
and that's a person that ultimately, if had he not done what he done, and I would have loved to see a biopic about him because like Benoit was one of my favorite wrestlers of all
mine
time.
too.
And what he did has hurt me to the core to the point where I don't I don't watch him like I don't watch Benoit. I don't watch him wrestle or anything like that because it's just it it hurts that the fate that befell him. So that's a guy that would have been perfect for the list, but I feel like if you put him on the list, it's more exploitative in the sense of you know
Yeah,
the like a kid died by the hands of his father, and that's always terrible. And a wife died by the hands of her husband,
yeah,
and he took his own life. And so I just I would not I couldn't put him on the list. Although I thought about it a little bit because I'm like Benoit, but it's just that it's like when Quentin Tarantino did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it was about Sharon Tate, and I was thinking, oh Lord, it's like the whole time I'm thinking, oh man, this is gonna be terrible because I know the story, but I'm glad he swerved on everyone, and it wasn't that. I was like, I love that in there. That's perfect how they did that. But you can't
yeah.
do that with this because this is unfortunately you can't do that with this. I don't think.
No, you can't. Um, yeah, I think you'll eventually get a biopic of Benoit, of Vince. But it would be, it won't be much about the wrestling. It'll be about what they did, and that's sad because that's what people are going to remember now. They're not going to remember the man that created WrestleMania or all these amazing characters we loved to see as we grew up. They're going to remember all the accusations he did, the cover ups, the hush money. That's what people are going to remember. He
Yeah,
ruined his legacy. It's kind of karma coming back to him though. Of all the people he
I know.
blacklisted,
Yeah.
he's blacklisted. So
Um.
no, Bilford, no.
Uh.
No.
Listen, I'm not an Eli Roth guy. I think that he's not that good of a director. I do like things. I mentioned like as we mentioned, there's a couple of movies they did that I like, but for the most part, no. You want to start it off with number 15?
Yeah, okay. Number 15 for me is going to be Dusty Rhodes. I I randomly come up with this list and I had to change a few things. But I feel Dusty has an amazing story. And I feel like he is truly the American dream. Just for his size, what he accomplished, how popular he was, and not only that, to bring his two sons into the business as well,
Mm-hmm.
and them to stand out in this business with his help.
Hard time, Daddy. It'll be
Yeah.
called I think it'd probably be called. I would call it the American Dream.
Yeah.
The Dusty Rhodes story. But Hard Times is also a good title for it. Or Son of a Plumber. The Son of a Plumber, which would be actually a pretty good title as well. Um, the Common Man.
The Common Man.
Uh,
Yeah.
but Dusty, it'd be an excellent biopic. I love to see that. Speaking of Dusty and Dust, my number 15 is a biopic based on the Gold Dust Trio, which was a group of wrestlers in the early days of wrestling. It's Ed the Strangler Lewis, Billy Sandow, and Joseph Toots Monk. And they are the ones that essentially created kayfabe. They're the ones that created wrestling going from being a shoot to a work, to where people would they said, hey, because people was getting injured, people was getting limbs broken and damaged and things like that. And so they said, what if we fix the matches where you know you go over or I go over and we still get paid and we still can be able to keep this going. And, we pull our punches and so they came up with the whole system of what is professional wrestling today is these three guys. And they were called the Gold Dust Trio. I think they'd be perfect because you could see like early wrestlers like Frank Gotch, like uh, young Killer Kowalski, some people that's like was coming into it that became legends later on. See them interacting with these people. I think it'd be a cool little gritty, like little biopic of professional wrestling.
Interesting. I didn't see this
Yeah,
one coming. I really didn't. All right, my number 14, Macho Man Randy Savage. I know he's kind of high on my list. He may not even be on yours, but
he's there.
uh, uh, I was thinking about it. Just his career speaks for itself, but the paranoia, I think, would do well in a cinematic film. How paranoid he was about Miss Elizabeth, how paranoid he was about people taking advantage of him. Like he was always thinking someone was out to get him in the ring. I mean, he even said something like to Jr. It's like I forget what it was exactly, but Jr. was talking about it in a podcast recently. Like he said he wasn't a fan of Randy, but he respected Randy for all he did. He said he was the most paranoid person he ever met in his life. And I believe it because everybody says the same thing about Randy. I just think it would be a great wrestling biopic just about the paranoia
Yeah.
itself. I mean,
I could see that being done by actually A24. My first thought was A24 producing that, and I think it'd be really cool. It can actually almost play like a horror movie because,
yeah.
like, just especially from his perspective of what he thinks is happening. Yeah, it'd be interesting. That's a good one. Good choice. Number 14 for me, I took off Ricky Dozen and put on Ron Simmons. Um, the Black History Month. I gotta have one black person on there. Um, and so Ron Simmons is a perfect choice, by the way, because he's the first uh black NWA champion. Uh, NWA or WCW? One at the I think NWA at the time. Um,
93, I think it was WCW.
Okay, but he's the first one. He didn't hold it too long, but that's very. I would love to see. I wanted to see a biopic. I thought about other people. I thought about Big Cat Ernie Ladd. Thought about Bobo Brazil. Thought about S.D. Jones. Thought about Coco. I thought about some wrestlers. Want to see what it was like a biopic about a black wrestler coming up in a time where racism was still a thing. You work with people that hate you just because the way you look, and I thought it'd be really cool to uh, see a movie about one of the most famous African American wrestlers of all time, which was Ron Simmons. I would argue and say he is uh, well, I think he's in the top 10 of the most famous African American wrestlers of all time for sure.
All right, I'm making an audible. Number 13. You
Okay,
said it. It's Black History Month. You got to include one. I'm going to put Booker T. I think the
Oh yeah,
man is
Miss Elizabeth would be very tragic, but they were
that
trying
would
to Savage.
yeah, that would be yeah, it would tie into Savage. Yeah, Booker T has an interesting story from going to prison to becoming a 5-time WCW champion. Sucker, uh, but
That'd be
not
really
just
good.
I. I would love that particular story though. Him in prison and what he think he's going to do when he gets out, and where he goes from there to professional wrestling and WCW. But I I would love that because that is that's going from rock bottom to the promised land essentially. I mean, from prison, all those people in prison. You don't even. I mean, I wouldn't even. I mean, I've got a couple cousins that have been in prison, but
Yeah, I
I
have
don't dare ask them about their experience in prison because I don't. True, that's like someone being in war. I would imagine what they've experienced. You know,
uh,
especially the stuff you see in movies and stuff. How they say it's like. Yeah,
uh,
but I think Booker
yeah,
T has an amazing story. I think he deserves one.
yeah, I think that actually I had on the list at one point, but I took them off. Uh, which I'm gonna go ahead and put it back. I ain't gonna say it. I'm just gonna take somebody else off because you already mentioned somebody. So um, yeah. So, but I agree with you. I think Booker T's story. Plus, he's able to bring his brother with him
Yeah,
along the ride, and was able to break out of the uh, break out of the tag team division and became a very successful independent wrestler. It's to the point where people vaguely remember Stevie Ray, but they definitely remember Booker T. So
oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you're not a hardcore fan, you probably don't really remember the Harlem Heat, because Booker did so much after that. I mean, he really
Mhm.
stood out. I mean, Stevie Ray's biggest accomplishment after Harlem Heat was joining the NWO, and who didn't? you know, that's a bigger
Hey,
question. Who didn't join at that point in
who
time?
did? That's right. All right, number 13 for me would be Mick Foley. I think Mick Foley would be an excellent biopic
Oh yeah,
about a guy who broke into business, but broke in was pretty much essentially subjugated to being a jobber slash uh, uh, crazy like death match type of wrestler, uh, but was able to become and I'll end it with him. I'll end it with him getting the title. Um, that first run for him.
yeah.
I think it was the first and only run.
No, he was a 3-time champion. They were all
Yeah,
short runs though.
but the first run, which is the most memorable, I would say, uh, because the idea that folks WCW, also say, hey, that's gonna put butts in the seat, and and literally people switch simultaneously from that program to see this man get the title, and that just shows you how much people was behind Mick Foley, Mankind. Yeah, I never really do love as much, but I love Cactus Jack. And I met Mick Foley, and I think he's an excellent guy. But yeah, yeah, I would love to see Mick as a biopic about Mick Foley. I think it'd be really good. It'd be called Mama Foley's Baby Boy or something like that, or Have a Nice Day or something like
I
that.
think "Have a Nice Day" sounds better.
It does sound better, yeah.
Was that number 13?
Yep.
Okay, number 12 for me. I'm gonna put him back on. The Ultimate Warrior. I feel.
Put them on.
I mean, I loved the Warrior as a kid. As an adult, I mean, I think he was very limited in the ring, but his promos are so out of this world. I would just it to me this wouldn't even be about wrestling. It's about who was Jim Hillwig. You know, where did he come up with all this promos that he would write? I mean, I'm not saying he wrote them, but whoever wrote them, it had to be high on cocaine or something because it was so out of this world. But I don't know. I just, I find him to be an interesting piece as far as biopics go. He had to be on steroids. He had to be, and I know he wanted more money. You could put that in. He hijacked, what was it, SummerSlam? 92, 91? I don't remember. It was with him and Hogan against Slaughter, and I don't remember the guy's name. Iron Sheik was there too, but then he returns like almost like a year later, but he's small. His story would just be interesting. And he legally changed his name to Ultimate Warrior. I mean, that's a movie right there. I mean, who was this man outside of wrestling? Like, really? Plus the real life drama between him and Hogan. That would be interesting to see in a film.
Yeah. I was trying to get back because I accidentally erased the wrong person. Because you said Warrior, so I took him off and put somebody else on. But yeah, and yeah, I was like, who did I erase? Because I erased the wrong person. I looked at things. Yeah, Warrior would be good, and plus it can show. He also dealt with paranoia as well with drug use. But it can end on after his Hall of Fame and his death. I thought it'd be a good it could be a good movie. I would love to see it. Number 12 for me is What a Rush, the LOD, Legion of Doom.
That's a good one. That's on my list.
Yeah, that would. I think it'd be excellent. They were, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, if not the best, one of the literal best wrestling tag teams in the history of wrestling. I remember they were so. I can still remember hearing that. Oh, What a Rush, and them coming out with the shoulder pads. I remember right now. I'm thinking of them with Paul Ellering and with the going on the motorcycle and coming down. Just them coming in the arena, you felt like business. You literally felt like business picked up. I just loved them, and they were so people imitated them a lot, but they never could be duplicated. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, I used to say "What a Rush" all the time as a child. Very animated. It's like I loved Hawk, so I would love an LOD, Legion of Doom biopic. It would be interesting. It'd be sad because because Hawk had some demons, but we all do. But it would it would be sad to see the downfall of what LOD became. And I hope they wouldn't even show draws as part of it, but I just keep it Hawk and Animal.
I wouldn't even get into a storyline with draws and
or Heidenreich.
Yeah, just keep it with LOD. Keep it maybe like I don't know. Just keep it
it to 80s, where early 90s maybe.
Yeah,
main focus.
Yep,
when they were at the top. Yeah.
Definitely.
My number 11, Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's high, but I understand what he did for the business, and it's not the reason I'm picking it. It's not even the Stone Cold stuff. It's what he mainly went through working for WCW, that he could never, the struggles he had to go through. And once he got a gimmick over, like the Hollywood Blondes with Brian Pillman, they took it away from him. He wanted to wrestle Hogan when he came in. They wouldn't let him. They fired him while he was injured. I mean, then he goes to the ECW and cuts a promo, and then, of course, that led to WWE. And eventually the Ringmaster, and then that led to Stone Cold. But it would just be an interesting ride to see his story told on the big screen. It really would. And plus, all he did in the Attitude Era, oh my Lord, the stories they could tell behind the scenes. You could get a really good working relationship between him and Vince. because you can't talk about Austin and not talk about McMahon. I mean, it's just not possible.
Yeah, you know who's not on my list that I actually had on there and I took off. I thought you probably have him on, and it's very similar to the Austin story. Would be Taker. Do you have Taker on your list?
I do have Taker.
Okay, we'll talk about it then. Okay. All right, number 11 for me will be Paul Heyman and ECW. I want to see a biopic.
I thought about them. I did, but I didn't put
I
them
want
on
to see
the
a
list.
biopic about this renegade third wheel of a wrestling promotion that came along and shook up the big boys and really made them change literally what wrestling was and looked like. No one was doing extreme stuff until ECW was doing extreme stuff. And everybody wanted to be hardcore and do this and do that.
Yeah.
But ECW came on late at night. It felt forbidden. Felt like something you shouldn't be watching because it's like on the public, like not public access, but on a channel you just happen to be finding in the middle of the night. And it was like it was revolutionary, and I loved that time in the '90s watching it. And I would love to see a biopic about Paul, who wanted to who really hijacked the NWA, the NWA, and changed it and made it ECW. Like that belt made it ECW, and him getting Taz in, Sandman, breathing life again in Tuco Scorpio, Bregan and Guerrero and Mysterio, and just
Jericho.
so many Jericho, so many people came along, Malenko as well. So many people came along and was a part of that company, and Bam Bam, and
That's where Bam Bam was the best.
Yeah, Bam Bam was not a joke. He was like legit. His match with Taz is one of the best matches in wrestling history. But yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I agree. That time was special. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna say the whole product was special, but that time was very special.
oh hell yeah. I like Austin.
All right. Number 10 for me.
He's my favorite wrestler of all time, Austin. Steve Austin.
Austin.
He's your favorite. I don't even hide that. Austin, my dude.
Number 10.
His mic work and his ring stuff. I love it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Number 10, which is probably shocking to most people that I'm putting him on here. But, I'm going to give respect where respect is due. And he has the longevity, The Undertaker. I really don't know much about his backstory. I just really know his character, The Undertaker. And I think that's worthy of a movie in itself because he played that character pretty much how it was originally made until which was 1990 to 1997, 98, maybe even 99 when he went really dark with that character. So, and except for Badass Undertaker, he played pretty much the guy he was from 1990. But I would love to see this on the big screen, or independent style movie about his career.
Yeah, really? You're probably joking, but okay.
Trish Stratus. I mean, when you're talking about women that deserve a biopic, you got to include her.
I would include Lita, definitely. I think
her and Lita. I mean, they transformed the business as far as women wrestling goes. So I would even give Molly Holly a little credit too, but definitely Trish. But yeah, back to Undertaker. I would love that to be told in a movie, 30 years of The Undertaker.
His story is pretty excellent. I think he started off playing basketball or football, one of them, and end up getting injured or something, I forget. But ended up breaking into business, was broke, but ended up getting in and becoming I think he was Mean Mark Callis. He's part of the what they call it, the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Something like that. With your family members fighting.
Oh, Big Dan. Yeah. I don't think they were
Yeah,
called Twin Towers. That's Boss Man and Akeem.
no, yeah, they were the skyscrapers. Skyscrapers. I'm sorry, skyscrapers. But yeah, that's what Taker name was.
Yeah.
Mark was. But yeah, like he started off and he did that work. He worked in WCW, probably some of the indie stuff, but eventually he got that call and they needed they needed somebody to show up and be at Survivor Series, man. And he thought he was gonna be he thought he was gonna be the turkey, the gobbledygooker. He thought, oh man, if they had me in this turkey outfit, because he knew that was gonna happen. He seen the egg and stuff. He was thinking that's gonna be me, because they debuted at the same Survivor Series
Yeah.
as the gobbledygooker. But yeah, no, he came on the scene and just was like in the as a kid watching this, how you would respond to seeing Taker. You just would get quiet and just look at him like. And I remember seeing him live for the first time here in Bowling Green. I was like, it's so eerie. It's just like seeing him. I don't think they did the entrance music there in DG. No, maybe they did. I don't remember. Do you? Did you ever go to any
I
shows?
didn't see him that early. The only time I've ever seen him, just being honest, was WrestleMania 27, and it felt like the stadium was literally shaking. It felt like an earthquake. Our seats were shaking during him and Triple H's match. And you know me, I've never really been an Undertaker fan, never. But I screamed, "Sean, help him!" I felt bad for that dead man. I did. I felt bad. I felt like Sean needed to come out there and help him, which is stupid because Triple H is Sean's best friend. Why is he going to help the guy that ended his career? But that's where my mindset was. He needed help because he got. It was like the first time at WrestleMania, his streak, you thought it was over. Like you literally thought Triple H is going to end his career, and he went out in a stretcher in that match, and everyone thought it was real and thought he had a heart attack.
Yeah, I remember watching that. It's amazing that you was there. That's amazing. It's something that you'll never forget, man. You was there for that. Number 10 for me is it's just simply entitled "The Attitude Era" or Monday Night Wars. I thought it'd be interesting.
That would be interesting.
One and the same, just how WWE and of course it would involve having Vince in it, but it'd be interesting to see how they went from like cartoonish, characterish type of people, like Doink the Clown. Nothing against Doink, but like characters like that to like DX, and then like that whole fight between WCW and WWE, WWF at the time, and that war. I think it'd be interesting to see both sides of that spectrum with uh with Vince McMahon and Bischoff. So I think it'd be kind of a cool thing to see.
Yeah, it would be. That's interesting. So I didn't even think about doing a Monday Night War film. That'd be a great movie though to see that play out.
And it could be like it can be even a trilogy or something, because the Monday Night War it's been like years, right?
To tell it right, it would at least have to be like a mini series. You can't do that in 2 hours.
Yeah. And then you have like so many different things, that variables. You had the Madison Square Garden show where Hunter and Sean and and Razor and
Diesel
hugged it out and two-cooed it and stuff like that, and
killed
killed kayfabe, killed Hunter's career for a while. He got busted down to working Henry O'Gowan and getting
they were pretty good matches, honestly.
Yeah, and he worked it and he did it, like he showed it. I seen him in Bowling Green at the Ditto Arena wrestling Henry Henry Godwin, and I was sitting so close that when Hunter got slopped and he took his hair and he flipped it back, slop got on me. I was literally that close. That's also the year I think that I was able to. I touched Shawn Michaels' hand when he came out. With hey, I remember that. It was a red glove. It was a red fingerless
Yeah, I
glove.
remember the gloves. I remember the
Yeah,
gloves. A
yeah.
lot of people were trying to touch his hands back then.
I was there. I did it. I touched it. And I think Bret Hart didn't give me the glasses. I was right there, but he gave it to another kid right next to me. And I was mad. Bret Hart. I don't
You
know.
weren't a Canadian, man. You weren't a Canadian.
But that's what's your number? So what was your 10?
Yeah, my 10 was Undertaker. 9, I'm going to go Shawn Michaels. I know that's high on my list, but
It is. I'm surprised.
I know you would have thought top 5 at least because
Absolutely.
I just feel the other people have a bigger story. But I do like Shawn's story. I think he's the best in-ring performer of all time. But what makes me interested to see a Shawn Michaels film is his struggles. His drug struggles, his backdoor politicking. He was not a very good person back when he was on top. And when he hurt his
stuff, yeah.
And when he hurt his back, he still had his drug problems. But I remember him telling a story about, like, what am I doing? He was high on, I don't remember if it was cocaine or not. And his son was in his arms and he fell asleep. And he woke up, he woke up and said, what am I doing with my life? And he started building a relationship with God. And that's more of the story I would want to see from Shawn's biopic is what changed in his life to make him not only a great performer, but a good person.
I haven't read his other book, but I know his latter book. His latter book was like his first biography, autobiography was really good. At one point, I read The Rock, I read Sean, I read some of Bischoff's, and I think it'd be really cool to see a movie showing the Dick Shawn Michaels, the one that was ugly, and the one that was a drug user, the one that was a womanizer, that one, and then showing the one that was redeemed by Christ.
Yeah.
And it'd be a powerful movie to show how Christ pulled him out of the muck. So it'd be really good. Actually, I would love to see that. Sting's story is very similar. He has a biopic that, it wasn't the best. It was very low budget, but it's a very similar story. Sting and Sean's story is very similar. Except for Sting wasn't like a back. He wasn't like as visceral as Sean was in the backstage.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a Sting, done right. I didn't put him on my list, but he's literally, besides Ric Flair, the biggest star to come out of WCW. So I wouldn't mind seeing one, but I don't know much of his history. I did see a little bit of where he's talking about his struggles. He wasn't, he didn't really like himself very much. He had drug problems. And I just wouldn't have thought that about him. Like, I'll be honest, he just didn't seem like the type. But you never know what's going on. You never know what someone's facing.
Yep, you never know. Number 9 for me is Boy George. I wanted to. I think it'd be really cool to see a movie about one of the most hated wrestlers in the history of professional wrestling. The one that was like he came out the precursor to Ric Flair. I would say. I want to make sure I'm saying his name right, Boy George. But yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Maybe I want to make sure. Yeah. Gorgeous George. I'm sorry, Gorgeous George. I knew it sounded wrong. Gorgeous George. but yeah, I think that it'd be really cool to see a biopic um, with about this man because he was hated. People hated him. People other than who's the other guy that they used to throw battery acid on. But like people hated him. People wanted to try to
Was
stab
it
him.
Piper?
No, no, not Piper. He was back in that day. Um, Classy Freddie Blasting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Tojo Yamamoto here locally was hated. Was hated so much where people wanted to like kill him. People would but that makes a good heel. A heel is able to get somebody so riled up that you want to fight them. That you did your job as a heel.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that Gorgeous George. I'm sorry, that's that boy George, but Gorgeous George uh, would be an excellent biopic.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know too much about him, but I did read up on that he was hated. I do know that much, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think anybody from that era that was big would be I don't know, kind of like an educational experience for anybody that wants to know how far back we've come. You know,
We kind of got it from with Fritz a little bit in Iron Claw because the
yeah,
beginning starts with him back in that era, the golden era of wrestling. It was it starts with him in matches like that. Um, as and he was a pretty big heel at the time. But yeah, um, Gorgeous George. I'm sorry I said Boy George. I feel dumb that I said Boy George.
hey, are we on number 8?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my number 8 top biopic I think we should get is the Hart family with Brett,
Mm,
Owen, uh, Jim Neidhart, British Bulldog, Stu, the
mm.
Dungeon, all of that stuff.
And that's what it would be called, the Dungeon. Oh no, it'd be called no, the Hart family, the Hart Foundation. Ooh.
Yeah, I just feel they could do it very similar to the Iron Claw of them growing up like that, and
Hmm.
but it kind of hits you with the tragedies. Owen would definitely be first because that's what happened, and of course Bulldogs. Owens would be the hardest to watch though, or to go through
Yeah.
because to me he was the truly kind of the heart of the Hart family. I mean, I cared more about Owen than I did any of them, and he would always, even as a heel, he would always make me laugh. I mean, I love his little stint with the Nation of Domination, the whole Nugget thing. I love his rivalry with Brett, but just seeing him go through the training, I feel this would be more about Owen and Brett than the other two. But you could give supporting roles to Bulldog and Jim, but I feel like it's to be what it was like growing up with Stu Hart as your father and teaching you wrestling and you going up the ranks. And for Owen's sake, he'd be living in his brother's shadow. Not
Hmm.
just on the screen, but behind the scenes. I believe he kind of looked at like he was in his brother's shadow. But I don't. I would just love a Hart family film, and I'm not the biggest Bret Hart fan, but I definitely think he deserves a biopic. But I
Mm.
would hope for a Hart family biopic more than a solo Bret Hart film.
Yeah, I understand that. Um, yeah, it's a good pick. I ain't gonna talk about because I got somebody on the list. So, all right. Number 8 for me is I called it Bobby and the Gorilla, and it's
Oh
literally
yeah,
Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon and their chemistry. I could see it being like an odd couple type of film about these guys that did commentary together, did primetime wrestling together. Like came up like pretty much best of friends, and just that chemistry together, them working, and Gorilla suffered tragedy, and how Bobby helped him through that tragedy of the loss of his son in the car via car wreck. I think it'd be a really cool story to see. I love my favorite commentary team of all time is Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon.
Yeah,
I would love to see a movie about them.
I think that's the best commentary team.
Mhm.
I would say second is either JR and King or Gorilla and Jesse Ventura. But I don't know. Jesse and Vince did more, didn't they, than Jesse and
Yeah,
Gorilla?
Vince did more. Savage was in there a little bit. Piper was in there a little bit. Um, and then you also had Lord Alfred Hayes, maybe. No, I
Yeah,
don't think he did. Uh,
he did a
and
little
then
bit.
and then in ECW you had just Joey Styles, which I thought he did a really good job by himself to keep it interesting. So hats off
Yeah,
to that
Joey
guy.
was as a one man commentator. Yeah, he was great. I mean, he
Mm.
really was. He told the story. He didn't need help.
He really did. He did such a great job. I think Michael. I like I like Michael and Corey. I like Corey Graves and Michael, but I love like one thing. The best things about Royal Rumble this past was Michael, Corey, and Pat McAfee together. I think that all three of them work really well together. It's very reminiscent of that. Like the two people that don't really like each other, being Corey and Pat.
Yeah,
You know, it reminded me of like uh, Bobby and Gorilla, and maybe I'd say Piper or someone, or Jesse maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it was a fun time commentary back in the day. But I believe Bobby and Gorilla will be excellent. I remember crying at the death of Gorilla Monsoon. Um,
yeah,
like I knew him. It's just because I grew up listening to his voice, and he was a part of the pay per views, and it just was very welcoming sound to hear.
yeah.
Welcome. No,
I think for a lot of it back in the day, especially late '80s, early '90s, the commentary was actually better than the wrestling.
I agree.
You
Kept
know,
that one of the reasons why the Ric Flair Royal Rumble was so good is because Bobby Heenan sold it so well.
oh yeah,
You felt Bobby was in the match himself.
oh man, he was so filled with anxiety. It was awesome to watch. The way he was, man. No one can touch him as a heel commentator, in my opinion. Not even Jerry Lawler.
Yeah,
Jesse's
Jesse
body.
Bobby.
It was great. I love Jesse. I really did. I love Jesse. I was sad to see him leave, and then I was even more sad to see him go to WCW. But see how they treated him.
And
Basically.
they try to recreate stuff like with like Steve Mongo, McMichael, and Tony Schiavone and the Doc West or whoever. I don't know. Nobody. It's not the same thing. You can't do what Bobby
And
and
they
Gorilla
made Bobby a face announcer when the NWO came in. And
did.
that's not him. He
It's not
couldn't
Bobby.
be, the animated Bobby Heenan. He had to play it straight. But I did love what he did when Hogan came out and turned on it. Is he here to help or is he here to hurt? And they said Bobby had no idea that he was going to turn. Had no
Really?
idea. But he's always been so against Hogan throughout his whole commentary career, and even as a manager, he never liked Hogan, so it worked for that instance. But yeah, I agree with you though. This would make a great movie. Them two.
Yeah, yeah. Because if anybody gets a movie, it'd be Bobby at least. Because Bobby Heenan, the brain, just call it the brain, and it's just the Bobby
Yeah,
Heenan.
he deserves one.
Yeah,
In my opinion, the greatest manager of all time.
I agree.
I think I put him up over Paul Heyman. I know a lot of people don't these days, but I do. I think he was just the best. He
Yeah.
always got his people over, even if they weren't very good in the ring. He still got them over.
What's your 8?
My 8 was a Hart family. My number 7, Kurt Angle. I just love the story of Kurt. Broke his neck in the Olympics, becomes a professional wrestler. He probably gets it down quicker than anybody has in the history of professional wrestling, and has a Hall of Fame career. But he has his own demons himself, which I think would play very well in the movie. But I think Kurt deserves a biopic. I mean, everything he accomplished in life.
And plus how he reinvented himself in TNA as this actual beast of a wrestler. I love that he wasn't no more the milk drinking Angle. But yeah, that'd be good. I'd love to see a Kurt Angle bio. Really, if anyone gets one, it'd be him. I think it'd be really great. Number 7 for me. I just called it the Jobber, and I was trying to think of what jobber I was going to put there because I was thinking Iron Mike Sharp. I was thinking Barry Horowitz. And I thought about what about the one jobber that was able to translate from the jobber to actual pretty big star. 1-2-3 Kid. I think it'd be kind of a cool movie about Sean Waltman, who started off as a jobber, essentially enhancement talent, getting worked over. And I still remember watching the match when he won versus Razor Ramon.
Yeah,
still watching that match, and I thought, oh my goodness, who is the kid that beat Razor Ramon? This is what I was thinking. Who is this guy? Because he's an enhancement talent, and so I think I thought it'd be kind of a cool movie dealing with like the jobbers, the enhancement talents that make other people look good. And the most famous one that I remember growing up is Iron Mike Sharp. But I think 1-2-3 Kid, you can tie it in his story, a lot of the DX stuff. You can tie in the story the China stuff. A lot of stuff can kind of happen through the lens of him as a character, and then his recovery, his addiction, the ultimate triumph over the addiction. So,
yeah. Number 6 for me, Roddy Piper. The most sincere wrestler I've ever met. I mean that. I met him.
You literally met him, right? Yeah.
Yeah, WrestleMania 27, All Access. Yeah. It's just very sincere. He talked to you like he actually knew you. He wouldn't rush you out of his way. He really wanted to have conversation with everybody he met. I have never seen any celebrity or any professional wrestler with as much sincerity as him. But he has a very interesting story as well. And I remember his Hall of Fame speech. He said he owed WWE everything. Without them, he has nothing. And he was homeless at one time, I believe. He said, a 14-year-old kid, homeless. I just think he has, a biopic worthy story. And he never was world champion anywhere, but he's one of the most famous wrestlers of all time. He was up there with Hulk Hogan as far as popularity during the 80s. I just think he has an incredible story. And he got stabbed once in the 80s. I didn't know that. Yeah, I remember him telling that on Legends House, how he got stabbed because he was truly hated. That's why I thought you might have been talking about him when you said battery acid. It's like I didn't know if he got hit with battery acid, but I knew he got stabbed once in the crowd.
That's a good pick. I would love to see that. You can't see it up there, but I have Piper. And I still have his movie, his WWE documentary, and it's signed. It's signed. I think somehow I don't remember him signing it, but I have a signed copy from him somehow. I don't remember it, but yeah. But I do remember. I got to see him live in Nashville. I got to see Hogan too at one of the SmackDowns, I think, back in the day at the Gaylord. So I was able to go see them at one point. So I'm thankful I was able to see him work. You know how I didn't put on his list, which would have been really cool. I don't have him on my list. I'm just gonna say it'd been really cool to see a biopic about Yokozuna. I thought about him. That would be an interesting story. Huh?
I thought you would have put him on there, honestly. 'Cause you've
Yeah,
been
I did.
such a big
I wish
fan.
I had. I'm a huge Yoko guy. Uh, but number
6.
6 to me, I just took off. I took off Teddy Long. I thought Teddy Long's story would be really interesting. Go from referee to manager to, you know, referee to like whatever. But I think that this guy's story will be even more interesting. I will actually see that people pay money to hear his story, to watch his movie. And it'd be the Jake Snake Roberts story.
That
I
was my
think
next one.
Jake was is he's still with us. Uh, he's the wrestler that has demons. He was he was the product of of a sexual assault, molestation. Honestly, his daddy molested his girlfriend's daughter, in the and got her pregnant, and his name's Jake Roberts. Um, and so and he never felt worthy to be a father, to be a man, and so he had demons. He wrestled high, he wrestled drunk. Um, he dang near died, but thank God this guy has bounced back. Thank God DDP has stepped in to kind of help him as well. And so I think that there'll be a beautiful story that won't end that will end on a great note. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, Number 5 for me, I'm gonna go Eddie Guerrero. Um, I've
Did you switch or was that who you had?
I switched.
So yeah, Jake.
I had Jake, and but I'm gonna go Eddie. It's coming.
It's funny because I did. That's the next one I had is Eddie Guerrero.
I mean, Eddie deserves one. I mean, I think it's going to be more about the Guerrero family, but Eddie had a lot of addictions that he overcame in life. He was very small for to become a world star like he became.
Mm-hmm.
He's still remembered today, thanks to Rey Mysterio and of course Dom Mysterio.
Yeah, I think Dom would be a perfect casting for Eddie. Like he has embodied heel Eddie so
Yeah,
well. I love. Like, I mean, he was very. He's one of the persons that I really enjoy seeing in the Royal Rumble. Every time somebody come at him, he's hey, it's okay, time out or whatever, you know. But yeah, no, Eddie. It was my number 5 is Eddie. So yeah, Eddie would have been. Eddie was the guy that I didn't believe when I heard they died. I didn't believe it. You know, um, he was on top of the world, man. And it wasn't and he didn't die because although he had addiction at one point in his life, but he was clean when he died. He just
yeah,
his heart gave out. Unfortunately. But Eddie was like Eddie Eddie was Eddie's spirit lives today, like you said, through
yeah.
LWO, through um, through Dom, through Ray, of course,
And Chavo, can't forget Chavo, what he's doing.
and even Eddie's widow. She's still, she's Vicky. She's kind of, and Eddie's daughter is on social media as well, but she doesn't wrestle. She does. She's just a normal normie like the rest of us. But
A normie.
what's your
My
what is
number
it 5?
4? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Eddie was number 5. So number
Who was
4?
your
My
yeah?
4? I'm gonna go the event, WrestleMania. A movie
Oh,
about
you
creating
got that. I got
WrestleMania.
that on my list. I got that on my list. We are very similar at this point. I'll be surprised. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Uh. So that's what you got. I got
Yeah,
for my. I'm
I
sorry.
just think WrestleMania. I mean, that's unworthy because everything was on the line for them creating WrestleMania. They had to have the right main event. They had everything had to go right, or they were going to be done. So I think that's a perfect movie. to showcase how WWF at the time became WWF, how Hulk Hogan became the major star he became, how sadly today how Vince McMahon became Vince McMahon, but how they became the number one wrestling company, and what you see today is a result because of WrestleMania. I mean, if that wouldn't have went right, man, where would wrestling be today?
Yeah, I agree. I changed my list, by the way, because of you. So, okay. Um, uh, number 4 for me is Andre the Giant. He has to have his biopic because arguably the biggest, not just biggest in stature, but biggest is in draw wrestler in the history of wrestling. He was the guy that when he died, I also cried. I actually shed tears. Um, and I would love to see a biopic about this man that struggled with normal things to deal with, like sitting, eating, love, things like that, and just a gentle giant, but also he was the boss in the back before the Taker took over as the boss. The In the back, it was Andre.
Yeah.
Andre is boss, and so and people called him boss. Hey, boss, because it's Andre. Yeah, but yeah, I'd love to see a movie about Andre. It would be a tragic ending because obviously eventually died, but um, it'd be a beautiful story. And the closest that we have is My Giant or whatever with Billy Crystal, and that's pretty much like a love language to Andre.
I have
So,
never seen that movie.
I might have to pick it at one point. It's a beautiful movie.
I remember it, but it had George Merson from the Washington Bullets at the time. I was like, can this guy act? But I never did watch it, so I don't know if he could act.
You definitely
I don't even know what the movie was really about. Honestly, I just remember Billy Crystal standing next to him, and he looked like a little person. It was unbelievable. But next to Andre, Arnold Schwarzenegger looked like a midget, man.
yeah.
He did. I remember me and my dad talked about that the other day. Conan. We got on the subject because Wilt Chamberlain was in the sequel, and I said, well, Andre took a picture with him on set of that movie, and I showed him the picture. Arnold looked so small compared to them two, so it's incredible. That was your number 4, right?
Yep.
All right.
I'm trying to get back to my list. Continue.
Yeah. My number 3, I'm gonna change it a little bit. It was Ric Flair, but I'm gonna change it to the Four Horsemen. I feel because you may have Flair on your list, and
No, I don't.
he definitely deserves a biopic on his own, but
He does.
But Four Horsemen do too. I mean, that was the stable in the '80s. I mean,
Yeah, they'll be excellent.
A brotherhood. You truly believe they were one unit, and I would love to see that biopic. I don't know how good it would be because can you really find somebody to play Ric Flair? Because if you go by the Iron Claw, you can't.
Yeah. You know who would be perfect as Flair? I've seen this. Somebody said this, but you wouldn't take him serious. Is Will Ferrell? You wouldn't take him serious.
Woo.
Because you'll see Will Ferrell. He pull it off.
Which version of Ric Flair? Old Ric Flair? Because he's in his 50s now.
Older Rick. Young Rick. Actually, honestly, to be honest, the guy that played Kerry Von Erich, I think he could pull off Rick. He has his look.
Does have his look.
Yeah, I think that he could probably learn his cadence and stuff like that.
Yeah, the guy they got, I don't know. I didn't see Ric Flair, but I did like the Woo. He didn't do it
Yeah.
like Rick, but at
The,
least
the
there
only
was a
time he,
woo.
yeah, the only time he felt like Rick was in the back locker when he came back and was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, Daddy, it was good. It was a good match, man. Let's go party. Let's go, you know." But
that definitely sounds like Rick. Let's go
um,
party.
but the Four Horsemen, is that your number five?
3.
Three. Oh, geez. Did I skip five? Oh, you did. No, we did Eddie Guerrero. Um, all right, number three for me is Bruiser Brody. I think that a movie about Bruiser Brody, is inevitable because it's so tragic with his death and the controversy surrounding his death. Nobody really knowing, but Dutch knows. Dutch knows what happened. Uh, Tony Atlas knows what happened. But yeah, it's just that I think that it would be cool to see this character that was a wild man, the precursor uh, to Mick Foley,
Yeah.
really precursor to what's the other guy. Everybody that kind of looks like him, they like, oh, you remind me of Bruiser Brody. The guy that died, Brody Lee.
Brody Lee.
Um, yeah, um, yeah. So it'll be cool to see a movie about Bruiser Brody, and it could just be called Bruiser.
Yeah.
Um,
Now I'm gonna go far left field with this one. He was originally in my top 15, but I took him out. You had Andre. Andre was my number 2, but I'm gonna switch it. Because at the end of the day, when he does retire, he's still going. I feel this guy deserves a biopic, and it's not a guy I liked initially, but I think of everything he's come through, he deserves one. That's The Miz.
I didn't see that coming.
I
I
know,
thought
I
you
know. He was my number 15 originally, but starting on the real world, having that wrestling dream, uh, and getting on Tough Enough, didn't win that either, and then getting a contract though, but
hmm
being bullied out of the locker room where he had his change in the janitor's closet,
hmm
uh, to finally be getting accepted. Undertaker finally got the people set right, and he got him back in the locker room, and he became WWE champion and main event at WrestleMania. From the real world to main event at WrestleMania, even though he was overshadowed by The Rock and John Cena, he's done something CM Punk can't do,
Yeah.
apparently, and
And,
that's main event WrestleMania.
and everyone that's been on Tough Enough, including Maven, he's the only one that has lasted. He's literally at this point the long no, I say Hunter's the longest reigning employee. He's no longer actively wrestling, but the longest reigning employee,
Yeah,
like that. So I would say that Miz is the longest reigning wrestler on the roster. He has Undertaker style numbers right now. Is where he's going.
yeah. I just feel like his story, it's hardships how he started, but look where he's come from. He puts
Yeah.
people over, and anytime they need him for a big storyline, they can use him.
hmm
Look at LA Knight. They used him for that to get him ready for Roman, and I think Miz he wouldn't have been number 2 initially, but
It's a good one.
he does deserve one.
I agree. It's a good one. Number two for me, I did Audible because it was WrestleMania, but you said WrestleMania, so I ain't gonna do it. So I chose the Samoan Dynasty,
That's a good one.
a movie
That's
about
that's a good one.
it can cover the whole lineage in a sense. It'd probably be an excellent TV show, like an actual
Yeah, I can see
written
that.
television show. But it cover Alpha and Sika. It can cover
The High
uh,
Chief.
the High Chief Peter Maivia. It can cover even you have a little bit of Rock in there, and it won't be Rock doing it because Rock can control the narrative. But I would love to see other people do it and have something to say about it.
Yeah,
I think that it'd be cool to see. You can have a storyline about Yoko. Obviously, you can have storyline about um
Rikishi.
Rikishi. What's the other?
Even
Yeah, the one that the other one that died with like a lot of them.
Samu.
That died. Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, you're
No,
talking about Umaga.
Umaga. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
said Rikishi, but he was also fought too in the hit shrinkers, so I thought
yeah,
you might have
yeah.
been
But
going a little bit
yeah,
further than that.
you have the Tonga Kid as well, who's in that. It was in the lineage, and you still have people, not just the Usos, not just Roman, not just
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax. You still have other people in other businesses still working and still of that lineage. So it's like literally they are the most dominant wrestling dynasty family
Now,
in the
question
history.
though, would you
Yeah.
include Jimmy Snuka as part of this lineage?
Usually he'll be there. He'll show up in the film, but not so much as like a mainstay. Because uh, Jimmy Snuka, even Haku, they were like cousins. They're like uncles or whatever, but not really of the family. That you know, but
Yeah,
it's just my, huh?
that's a good one though. I like it because it's a way to show them all, not just focus on one. So I kind of like that. My number one, you probably already know who it is. I mean, he may be your
I
number
don't.
one, but I don't think he is. I
I
don't think
don't.
you're going to include him.
I have no idea.
You do too. Come on now.
No, I'm being serious.
Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah, I didn't include him at all. No,
You don't think Hogan deserves a biopic?
no, I was gonna include him with the whole WrestleMania thing, but no.
Yeah. But Hulk Hogan, I feel, and he's supposed to be getting one, but I just that man's life uh, is interesting. Failed rock musician, even though he'll tell you he would have. I forgot what band he said he was supposed to be in before he took on WWE, but Rocky 3, I mean, becoming Hulkamania, then the whole NWO thing, then coming back home, and then of course you can't forget the steroids in the early '90s either. How he
Yeah,
literally saved Vince McMahon and wasn't even working for him, but still saved him. His testimony saved him, and that's crazy because he had his chance to kill Vince McMahon and didn't do it.
yeah.
Imagine if he would have actually testified against him. But I don't know. Of course, we know the racial slurs, the sex tape, and all that. But he's had an interesting life,
And he's
and
recently gave his life to Christ, so that's
yeah,
something.
and he supposedly saved. I say supposedly because the internet thinks it's false, but he saved some girl's life, and that was in a car accident. Pulled him and a buddy pulled her out of a car or something. I say supposedly because there's no footage of it.
Yeah, I wasn't there,
And he's
but
known to be a liar. So,
yeah,
I mean, but hopefully he's not lying about something like that. But, yeah, I just think the pressure of being the guy, would be worth watching, especially during the 80s. He put wrestling on the map as far as WWE is concerned. So I think it'd be interesting to see his biopic.
yep. For me, number one
I'm curious.
is it's called The King of Hearts, the Owen Hart story.
Oh, Owen getting his own.
Owen getting his own. I think it'd be kind of cool because Owen is the heart that it seems like it seems like he's the glue in most people's lives, and how he like brought life to people. I would love to see him a movie about him. Yeah, you gotta have Brett in there. You gotta have the other hearts in there, but it's the Owen story, and it doesn't even have to like people want to see it and talk about his tragic death and everything. But I
Mm-hmm.
think the build up could be his heel turn and his heel run leading up to his match, brother versus brother, and it could be just the storytelling in that match with them two, and leave it on that note of Owen winning. We don't even have to talk or show his death. Um, you can talk. You can say, tragically Owen passed away. Back in blah 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 whatever. But his legacy lives on. And, in like Kevin Owens. You call Kevin Owens because of Owen Hart. Uh, so yeah.
Yeah. Now, one quick question. During all these biopics, do you want them to have let kayfabe live on, kind of like Iron Claw did?
No, I like it. No, I would love. That's what I didn't like about Iron Claw is they kept it as just like it kept kayfabe.
Yeah.
I would love it then to break kayfabe and let it be like let us know that you're calling the match. Let us know that this is happening. But also let us know when someone really goes off script and do something and blow up and stuff like that. So yeah. But that's our episode for today.
Yes, it was
very long. It's an hour 41 minutes. All right.
Pretty long, yes.
Next week, it's my choice.
It's your choice, yes.
I'm choosing The Temptation.
The Temptation.
Black history. We're gonna look at some music.
Music. Another musical from Aaron. Okay. What's it on?
I think it's on Freebie or something. You'll find it.
I'll find it. I'll look at every streaming service I have till I find it.
There you go. If you can't find it, then I'll do an audible. But
no audible necessary. I'll find it. One way or another, it will be found.
But what would you like the people to do?
Man, if you tuned into this one and you actually enjoyed it,
woo!
We'd like you to like, share, subscribe, comment. Stay with us for next week.
It's free on, it looks like Tubi, Pluto TV, Crackle, Plex.
I got Tubi, Pluto.
Amazon Prime even. So yeah.
It might just be best to go to because Prime now has ads.
Don't Tubi have ads too?
They do, but why not? What's the difference here?
Yeah, I agree. But share, subscribe, lovers. I thank you for tuning in with us. You have a great weekend. Happy Black History Month. Because this is our month. So it's what's up. We thank you for listening.
Cheap plugs from Aaron. Cheap plugs.
Cheap pops.
It's cheap pops, yes, as they would say to Mick Foley.
We thank you for marking out with us, Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.